Welcome to this masterclass. It's part of the initiative of Lenovo IT4SMB. I'm Gauri Dwivedi, Senior Editor at the Economic Times. And today we bring a very unique masterclass session, which has two speakers, both of whom will talk about one of the biggest areas that small and medium businesses around the country are now grappling with, which is how to get onto the technology curve. Two speakers will be addressing this masterclass session today. Mr. Deepak Jain, co-founder of Flexi Loans, followed by Mr. Anagat Parikh, who is former CTO of Paytm Payments Bank and CISO of Paytm. And in the end, there will be Lenovo speaker who will talk about the broad outline in terms of what is it that Lenovo can bring to the table for small and medium business in India. India is, for all practical purposes, the SME capital of the world. The sheer numbers speak for themselves. By any account, by any statistic, the largest number of small and medium businesses are in India, largest amount of entrepreneurs who are willing to get on to the next growth wave, the next growth frontier, the largest amount of employment opportunities in the SME sector, and of course, the biggest growth potential as well. But in the last couple of years, as the SME sector has recovered from the COVID pandemic shock and the growth slowdown, they are now looking to grow at a faster pace. After all, by any account, if SMEs grow, India grows with them. About a third of the Indian economy rests on the shoulders of these small and medium businesses. And these entrepreneurs have twin tasks. They have to get on to the higher growth trajectory, they have technology, and they have to keep their tight budgets in mind as well. And that is exactly what we will be covering in this masterclass session under various topics. One is, how is it that small and medium enterprises and entrepreneurs can embrace technology, and what is the kind of transformation that they can actually envisage if they do embrace technology. And the other aspect that we will cover in this masterclass session is about data security, data threats that are now one of the single biggest challenges that entrepreneurs are facing. It's no more a large corporation problem, it's now an every corporation, every company's problem. And how can smaller enterprises which have tighter budgets, smaller teams, help in navigating through these challenges? And that's what we will be understanding in this masterclass session. In the first speaker will be Mr. Deepak Jain, who is co-founder of Flexi Loans, a technology-based online financing platform that has provided small businesses with flexible and adequate funds for growing their businesses. As much as 2,000 crores of loans about businesses in 100 cities. They've got marquee investors and they've raised over $100 million in funding. And Deepak brings with him 15 years of experience in investment banking and management consulting, all of which he's pouring in Flexi right now. Deepak, over to you as you take us through, and the small and medium businesses who are joining in right now, take us through what is it that technology can do for them? What is that X factor that technology can bring to their existing businesses? What is it that they can achieve, which normal growth curves cannot do if they do not accept the technological changes that are happening around them?
Thank you. Thanks, Gauri, for the good introduction on us and Flexi Loans. So technology is, evolving significantly in the last few years, and the kind of changes we've seen, since we started our journey in 2016 to last 6.5 years is just tremendous. And this is obviously multifold things what regulators are doing, as well as things which players like Jio did. And what Jio did was literally put internet across the nook and corner of this country, and that has allowed so many SMBs all over the country to come online or go digital, and over a period of time enhance the business they are doing either by acquiring customers in methods which they were not traditionally doing, or like improving their profession efficiencies over a period of time. So if I were to bucket on what according to me are the solutions or technologies which SMBs can adopt, I would put them in three areas. And this would apply for SMBs which do as small as a few 100,000 rupees in turnover to SMBs which can do few hundred crores in turnover as well. And each one of us have to be ready or constantly evaluating technology in all of these three areas on how to go about in evolving and constantly innovating in these areas of technological use. So the first area, according to me, which is very, very critical is origination tech. This is when I say origination tech, you have to simply go back to your customer target segment and figure out what, according to you can how can you use technology to acquire more and more customers. The digital marketing is one method, but there are much simpler ways of automating and reaching out to your customers via Instagram, social media. What social media has done, for example, is you given access to every entrepreneur to reach out to their target customers by sending out relevant videos. You can create videos which are educational, helping your potential customers to understand your product pretty well, helping them to come to your website if you have a website, or reach out to you digitally and apply for how to basically buy your product. So that to me is a very, very big innovation factor which has to some extent evolved significantly in last 3 to 5 years. Second area of again very, very important development is the whole community of influencers, or in finance we call them influencers, which have evolved in last 5 to 6 years. As an entrepreneur, all the SMB owners should figure out, can they partner with some of these influencers and enhance their reach in that local community of theirs, or if they're if the markets are so there are many SMBs which are selling all over the country. So how can you enhance your reach by reaching out through these kind of tech platforms or social media platforms, to enhance your customer reach. Third is analyzing data. So what the way technology is evolving is a lot of data is getting generated nowadays on customer trends, customer insights, how customers are thinking. So do that well for your target customer segment base, and make methods to generate a clear niche for yourself. Again, in my 7 years of experience here at Flexi, and before that I was in investment banking, doing IPOs and QIP for many large entrepreneurs. I've seen that the entrepreneurs which have succeeded well have always created a very, very big niche for themselves, where they are always ahead of the curve vis-a-vis their competition. So to me, this is the first biggest use case of technology, and each one of you should invest a lot of your time in ensuring that how you can use technology effectively to acquire more set of customers, enhance your reach beyond your local community, and to say at pan India level, or if your products are going abroad as well, to pan all over the world as well. And last but not the least is use social commerce or social influencers network to boost your marketing in a manner which was not possible traditionally. In historical days, all the local entrepreneurs would do is sponsor some events in their local community and enhance their reach. Now you can do that via this social influencer network in a much effective manner. The second use case for technology, again, which we have seen, and in each one of them, after I've highlighted all the three use cases, I would also bring out how we at FlexiLoans have used them as well. So the second use case for technology we believe is the whole processing tech. So how can you use technology to make your processes leaner and improve your efficiencies, and thus your profitability significantly. Uh, in today's world with artificial intelligence, taking over many things, I would recommend, all entrepreneurs should keep reading in their respective business areas, especially in financial services, be in healthcare, and many other areas, on how you can automate things, to ensure that the productivity per employee goes up significantly. This is again, very number driven outcome here, because the more you spend on automation, the more you'll realize that um, the efficiencies will go up, and your profitability will shoot up further. Again, there are two or three areas where you can automate things. One is how are you, how the sales been driven. Is the effectiveness of your sales guys, can that be improved by streamlining some processes or automating the way sales is interacting with the customers. Second is, how is your processing or your products been perception, like the market perception of your products is, and can you do some automation there to enhance that. And third is, the whole customer experience while they are purchasing, either from your store in an offline format or an offline or an online format. How is the whole customer experience at that point in time, and how much you're investing in that. Again, we at FlexiLoans have seen very high improvement in our efficiencies, and operating leverage has significantly improved for us in the last 3 to 4 years. And I personally believe that this is one area of very high focus for each and every entrepreneur. If you don't do this, somebody else will, and somebody else will then be able to serve these customers much faster than you can, or much more profitably than you can, and thus their ability as an entrepreneur to reduce the pricing will be much higher, because their processing costs are lower than what yours is as an entrepreneur. Last, but again, a very critical part is how you're how you're retaining your customers. How are you monitoring the needs of your customers? How are you monitoring the behaviors of your customers? What are you invested in that? Again, there are very basic toolkits, like sending out regular questionnaires to your customers, or reaching out to them via various WhatsApp messages and many other ways. But how engaged are you with your customers is again a very critical area where a lot of small entrepreneurs or SMBs can use technology. Just to give a perspective, we at FlexiLoan spend a lot of time on this, and our customer retentions are upwards of 60%, which is very critical path to not only growth but to profitability as well. So how are you looking at your customers? How personalized experience you are generating for the second time sale, third time sale? When the customers want to reach out to you, for after sale service, do you have some real time responses available? Again, with chatbots and in technologies like that, you can automate some responses to the customers, which are very standard. Again, WhatsApp as a business account, you can use that, and you can automate a lot of responses to your customers. But how good is your response time? And faster the response time, faster you're able to like reach out to your customers and help them solve their queries, and thus keep the customer loyalty much higher. Yeah. So this is the third area which I was talking about, that how are you spending on customer retention or customer satisfaction related technology. So what are we doing at FlexiLoans, in spending each of these areas? So again, as Gauri mentioned, we are a SME loan providing platform. We give loans in almost 19,000 pin codes all over the country, and we are doing this using technology, right? We don't have a single branch. We don't have a single feet on street. Yet we are sitting in Mumbai. We are able to do loans in almost 1,700-1,800 cities all over the country, and the way we are doing it is all digital. So we have partnered with a lot of ecosystems all over the country, which help us reach out to SMEs, or we are using social marketing, or marketing via various social media platforms to reach out to these customers all over the country, and are able to see some fantastic results in the same. Um, Now, this is how we are acquiring customers. But again, this acquisition model we have backed by a very, very strong processing layer or an application process, where customers are able to come to our website or an app, and complete their applications in less than 5 to 7 minutes. Again, we review these processes, the drop-offs, how the customer is liking it very, very regularly, and keep changing this, our stacks, to ensure that we are always one level ahead of the curve, vis-a-vis either competition, or as per what our customers expect. The last is, for being a lending entity, we have to obviously also spend in to whom to give loan and how to give loan. So we have invested a lot in AI stroke machine learning based underwriting of these customers. We use this method of recursive underwriting, where at every stage, we are underwriting a customer, and we will accept or reject a loan, we're almost real time, and keeping the data requirements to be collected from the customers as minimal as possible. So our focus is very high on automating automating the process for the customers, so that to ensure that tax for most of the customers are less than 1 day or 48 hours from application to disbursement. Second is ensuring we are using digital marketing to reach out almost pan India. As I said, we've disbursed roughly 3,000 odd crores till date, all over the country, to via some almost 65,000 loans in last 6 years of our operations, and use machine learning stroke AI, and alternate data to create scorecards which are guiding us, whom to give loan, how to give loan, etc., etc. Last, from customer retention point of view, we do spend a lot of time on our customer behavior. We reach out to our customers using technology post loan as well regularly, and try and customize our offerings to for repeat customers, and ensure that we stay relevant for them throughout the journey, and we see the behavior of second and third and fourth loan via us as well. Yeah. So there are multiple technologies nowadays, coming up, from chatbots to cloud computing to AI. There are use cases across Chat GPT nowadays. And these are again a very, very high number of use cases of technology, which can help us, many SMBs to deploy them, and enhance the reach to their customers, improve their processes, and obviously also enhance the customer retention or loyalty of the customers. Last point I would recommend, while each one of you are spending on technology, is spending also on customer, the whole online security and of your systems. So it's also very, very relevant, and the other colleagues on this masterclass will spend more time on that piece. But I would recommend that as you build your technology, you keep the safety and security and your data of your customers of very high importance, and ensure that you are trying your best to keep those things under control as well. I'll take a pause here, Gauri, and if there are any questions, happy to answer those.
Thanks for that, Deepak. An important overview on what really is the kind of change that technology can bring about. And you mentioned a whole host of issues, from a very unique term, which I now have learned, which is spin influencers, to how to use data, how processes can become leaner, and the long arc that technology can paint for a business. But the key questions that I have, and I'm going to now ask the audience to also start putting out their questions, which I'll ask you in a minute as well. And as those questions come in, Deepak, one question that I have in mind is that despite some of these upsides that adopting technology brings in, there is still deep rooted resistance. And that resistance is because of either cost factors or due to some traditional way of thinking as far as how SMBs operate. How do you think that can be broken? That inertia to adopt and that unwillingness to relearn. How does one
Yeah.
change that?
So again, these are very relevant, right? In how the, like my father was a jeweler, and all he did for marketing was he would sponsor uh, the local Ganesh Mahotsav or the Dandiya nights and so on and so forth, and that's the only marketing they did, as a small entrepreneur. Um, as technology is evolving, not many of these smaller retailers or smaller traders and wholesalers are changing with that technology. Like for example, most of them are still on the basic tally and those kind of ERP, when there are so many other very very good ERP tools out there, the likes of the Khata services and many others, which can help automate certain use cases like data management and real time, like reaching out to these debtors via technology and getting the payments done via UPI and many other means without pushing these debtors to come to your store and collecting those payments. So there are many use cases evolving like that. There is this whole and as you rightly pointed out, there is this whole thing that why do this, ये सब ठीक ही तो चल रहा है. While it's working well, I recommend, and I've seen this, that entrepreneurs who have spent more on technology have freed up a lot of their time, and from execution they are then moving towards strategic thinking on how to go out and enhance the business. So if you implement a lot of on processed tech, which according to me, is cheaper than many other technology tools which they are using historically, using their chartered accountants and others. This will not only improve your efficiencies, but free up your time to focus on strategic initiatives to expand your business. Second is, there are free items available, like for example, WhatsApp groups and broadcast lists. When we started Flexi Loans, we started by the whole concept that whether there's a product market fit, to test that also was done by a WhatsApp group and a broadcast list. So we said that, we thought that if there is no response coming to our WhatsApps or emails which we send to customers, there is no product market fit, and thus we should not even launch the product. Yeah. So we saw a very, very good response, and thus website. So before you go and invest in things like website, I would urge that you create small catalogs, which are again uh, ours is a very standard loan where we didn't needed a catalog. We just created a marketing template and we sent out via WhatsApp and saw the responses via that. But if you have a multi SKU product in your storefront or in a wholesale business, a catalog can be created. A digital catalog is again not very expensive. Create a digital catalog, expand your reach via these WhatsApp messages. Almost 70-80% of small entrepreneurs I know of are now using it very effectively, but the others who are not should use it. And obviously, if you're seeing good response from that, that means that your customers are also digitally savvy, and you can then think of creating or getting the websites created for yourself. And again, there are specialized players who will help you create those at very very low costs.
While one of those sectors where the government intervention has been the least is technology, probably the reason why it has flourished so well in the last 2 decades. But when it comes to SMBs, when it comes to MSME, take whichever definition you want to in terms of their size, there is now a need for some sort of government handholding. You feel that so when it comes to tech adoption, more so because of the sheer potential that SMEs offer to the Indian economy.
Yeah. So Gauri, I have a slightly contrary viewpoint there. In fact, government has done many brilliant things, especially for small entrepreneurs in this country. Uh, uh, if you see the digital payments and the penetration of digital payments in India, it's the best across the world. And UPI honestly is a technology and a game changer all over the world, so many countries are copying this. Even countries which are as advanced as Singapore wants to copy our UPI and the way digital payments in India is happening. Uh, I have personally tried living for a few months without any cash in my pocket, and I was super successful in doing that. So this is happening. So and then this is impacting all SMBs. The reason I'm bringing out payments as a use case is because this is a technological change which impacted almost all businesses. All of us saw a lot of payments happening via digital payments, and thus, the money coming into your bank accounts versus cash coming to you changed significantly. So, according to me, government keeps bringing small changes here and there. Like linking your Aadhaar and all your documents with DigiLocker is again a very positive move. It allows you to reach out to lenders like us and give us all your documents at a click of a button. Account aggregator again is a very positive move by regulators, where you can give lenders like flexi loans, or happy money, to via click of a button, and give us all the data on your bank statements, and so that we can underwrite these customers much faster and give loans to them. So government is over a period of time bringing technology in some form or the other, and plus, if you see last few years, and the amount of be it Niti Aayog or various other government agencies, they have always created a lot of noise on startups. Last 4 to 5 years, you're hearing the word startup and digital economy and digital Bharat a lot from the government agencies, which was not happening in the past. So I believe, and I'm a strong like I think that government is making a lot of noise. Obviously, the execution is taking its own sweet time over a period of time, and this is transforming India at a good pace. So I'm very hopeful in the way internet and internet related things are evolving in our country. You'll be surprised. We get loan applications from absolutely every nook and corner. Like almost 80% of the loan applications we get are from tier 2, tier 3 towns. And we have only one office in Mumbai. Nobody knows flexi loans in a downtown Jharkhand or downtown Tamil Nadu, but we get loan applications from there. And this is the power of, I was talking about influencers or social commerce educational videos. That's the power of that. And we use that channel to educate people that, okay, it's safe to apply for loan online, and it's not a fraud. You may get a loan online as well. Obviously, we all have to be constantly checking that there are fraudsters copying the same, and how you try and minimize those things. But yeah.
So one question is around the fact that digitalization in SMEs is still far from what we envisage it to be. The best case scenario, which is the McKinsey report, it says that 30% of SMEs are digitalized, which I think is also, because there is no accurate data, this I think is also just a ballpark figure, could actually be even lower. So this essentially says that 2/3 of SMEs have not undertaken any digitalization whatsoever. In your assessment, the next 2 to 3 years, how do you see this changing?
Yeah. So here the biggest game changer according to me was Geo, and I did mention in my masterclass that in last few years the way Geo has enabled data penetration across the country is a big game changer. And I think private sector has to do more to ensure that digital, like SMEs digitize themselves, and they see the advantage of going digital or coming online and selling online and things like that. ONDC, which is started by government, is again a very move in the right direction. It's said to be the next big thing, which India will see. And the numbers which GEM and government is publishing on the GEM platform and others looks very big as well. So to me, ONDC and efforts made by private organizations like Flipkart and Amazon will help in digitizing some of these SMEs to start coming and selling online. I'm talking right now from the sales perspective of digitization. Second is, in the process automation and process side of digitization, I think we are some time away from for smaller entrepreneurs to adopt process automation. The reason being, the labor is pretty cheap in India, right? So uh, for a use case where you just need 3 to 10 employees, I don't think so people will invest in technology, because you don't need to invest in technologies. Technology investments are very fruitful when you need 50, 100 people to do a task, and then you reduce your number of people on that task, and so on and so forth. So as long as labor in our country remains as cheap as it is today, I see process automation, like less use of technology or AI, or chat GPT or things like that in smaller entrepreneurs in the country. I would see more automation on reach out to the customers, and methods to sell beyond the local geographies. But process automation will be slightly lesser. Uh, I would see a lot more automation on ERP usage, because a lot more technology is coming there. A lot of SaaS players are coming there. So again, you'll see a lot more automation on that piece in the next few years.
Okay, so another question that's come up is that collection is a very important aspect of your business, and how does one bring in technology to ensure the collection process is streamlined and efficient?
Yeah. So again, a good question, and this is one area where technology can play a very, very big role. So most customers, the smaller retailers, or the segment we cater to, they would want to pay back their loans on time. What happens is, is the discipline issue, or sometimes the memory issue, that okay, the EMI is due on this day, and how to go about that planning. So there are two levels of technology usage there. One, while they're applying for the loan, we help them gauge via technology and via their data analytics on how much EMI they can take care of, and try and ensure that they understand that pretty well, and don't over leverage themselves. Because many entrepreneurs go wrong in taking loans beyond their capability to repay, and then get stuck in the cycle where they are not able to repay, and thus obviously once you default on one loan, you'll not get another loan, and so on and so forth. So nobody wants to default, Gauri, by design. It's the circumstances which make them default most of the time. I would say I'm talking about 90-95% use cases. There'll be 5 to 7% fraudsters everywhere, and we all have implemented various fraud modules to avoid that. The second usage in technology is reminding these customers regularly, on time, that okay, your EMI will be due on next date, and we'll reach out to you to collect our payments, etc., etc. Third is how you're debiting the accounts, and the usage of technology. And like, for example, for smaller payments, UPI has been a game changer, where customers, even if they don't want to pay via the check, etc., they're happy to pay via UPI, and much faster method. So that's third level of automation. Fourth is, how do you go about automating the whole legal procedures internally? So that's more internal tech for lenders like us. We have invested a lot in that. This ensures that for customers where we have to take legal action, it's taken on time, and we ensure that we use the law of the land properly to ensure to recover our funds properly at the right time.
Right, and that I think is the single most critical aspect as far as your business is concerned. Getting the collection bit right and getting the technological intervention right is really the key to success here, and profitability, bottom line, depends on that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm
Okay, so
proud.
we yes.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
So we're running out of time completely, and we can squeeze in one quick question as well, which is around the fact that you did mention, as far as technology like AI, machine learning, and all is concerned, and of course, process automation may take some time. But how do you see smaller entrepreneurs using such technology, which is going to be easily available going forward? How best could they be used?
So again, each entrepreneur should spend some time of use case of Chat GPT in their respective business area. Chat GPT is just awesome. I've used Chat GPT personally to write poems for my daughter. So so it's an amazing thing. So forget using it for your business. You can use it for personal things also. So there are great things you can do using ChatGPT. I'm saying AI is definitely evolving, and it's very critical to keep a tag on the kind of technology which can come for their respective. Again, because we're talking about SMBs in India, I cannot go right now in one sector and say, but for most of the smaller entrepreneurs, this is very high use cases do exist on ChatGPT. Second use case for me is UI usage of machine learning on how to go about targeting your customer segment. So again, a lot of data analytics or data, you can do a lot of multivariate tool sets you can use to ensure that you're reaching out to the right set of customers, right? For example, as you pointed out earlier, that okay, this is expensive, the technology usage is expensive as well. So which customers to go after, and where you are seeing the highest conversions in your target segments. I think technology and machine learning can be used for that also, and we did a lot on that initially. In fact, most of our data science models were on origination versus on underwriting. Underwriting data science came much later for us.
We'll have to stop there, Deepak. Thank you so much for a very exhaustive session. Questions will keep coming, and there are certainly many aspects to question, but we leave that for another day. Thank you so much for addressing this masterclass.
Super. Thank you, Gauri, and thanks, ET, for having me here. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
The other aspect, as far as technology is concerned, besides the transformational aspect that Deepak Jain spoke about, was the aspects related to cybersecurity, ensuring that the data that is available and present on the networks of smaller entrepreneurs is in fact secure, and how to ensure that ransomware attacks are minimized. The potential impact and loss of business could be significant. How best to minimize this? By educating small and medium entrepreneurs, by ensuring that their networks are foolproof, is the next conversation that we are having in this next session, where Mr. Anagat Parikh will be addressing this masterclass on the aspects related to information security, data protection. Mr. Parikh brings with him over 30 years of experience in the tech industry, and that includes his vast experience in technology, delivery, and cybersecurity. He was the first CTO of Paytm Payments Bank, where he implemented all required technology for the bank. Besides that, he was the CISO of Paytm, where he played a very crucial role in building the entire cyber security vertical at the company. He holds a master's in computer science from California and has completed an intense 10-month postgraduate program in cyber security from MIT. And besides that, he is an avid golfer as well. Mr. Parikh, thank you so much for coming and addressing this masterclass. I'm also looking forward to how best can the technology be used to ensure that the other aspects of technology adoption, which is the ransomware attacks, can be minimized. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Gauri. Thank you, Lenovo and ET, for having me here to address this very, very important issue on information and data security. This topic is very, very close to my heart. I say that because I've always been in the technology area, and in the last 6-7 years got really into cybersecurity. And I find this very interesting from many points of view, and which I'll share as we go along. So I have a presentation for you to see. So let me just share my screen. Gauri, you can see my screen? Yes, my screen is visible, I hope. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So today I'm going to, in next 25 minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit about, what are the framework on security. We want to get down to the basics, because security, when we talk about security, somehow it seems like a big, heavy word, and we hear only about breaches and frauds all the time. I just want to get out basic. Why do we actually do security? And then take it from there. and look at why data security is important today. Look at some of the elements. A little bit talk about people, process, and technology part, and just give a flavor of what an SMB could look at a dashboard or a road ahead or a simple plan for implementing security. So in this short time frame, let me just go to the basics. Okay, I talk more about this on the next slide, but this in security 101 is the CIA triad, which is the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. That is the sole reason we look at security. So let's look at each part. When we look at confidentiality, we want to make sure that whatever data we have is protected properly, is accessed by only the authorized user, and we do whatever in our powers with the technology, people, process to make that happen. You want to protect what we call PII, personal identifiable information, like names, addresses, date of birth, bank details, and so on and so forth. The second part, why we do security, is we want to make sure that our data that we keep is sacrosanct. It can't be modified. Besides authorized users, it is the way it is stored. It should be in the stored situation. There should be no change in data at rest, which we say in databases, or no change in data while in motion, while being transferred to another entity. So integrity of the data is paramount. And the third part, where security interestingly comes in, our systems should be available all the time. There should be uptime. I'll talk about it later. Some of the attacks that happen is one of the denial of service attack that happens generally is you get flooded with multiple requests on the same server, and the service goes down and you're offline. So the security responsibility lies in three of these major areas. Now, when we when we go deep further, okay, how do we address these areas? And nothing comes better than if you look at a framework. If you look at a framework, there are many frameworks in security today. People look at ISO 27001. Now, 2022 version is also out. But a very popular gold standard framework is the NIST standard. And this is logical. And that's why I love security. It's very logical. And if you look at it logically, any size company can actually implement a fairly good secure system. You don't need to throw tons of money at technology only. You need to think logically, think steps, think process, and you can achieve what you want to achieve. And the first one is, it talks about 5 pillars. One is called identify. You need to, a lot of organizations today I see, they don't even know what assets they have. They don't know what they're trying to protect. If you don't know what you're trying to protect, how can you protect it? There are companies, I've seen they don't have list of assets. They don't know how many servers they have. They may have in data center, they may have something in on the cloud, like AWS or Azure. So they don't know how many laptops and endpoints they have. So the key is to really identify what you need to protect. You need to know what data you're going to protect. We talk about data protection all the time, but do we know what data we're protecting? What are those crown jewels that we're talking about, that we're trying to protect? Where does this reside? Does it reside on the cloud? Does it reside on a data center in a co-location, or where is it? So that's, I think, the key aspect of it. And that is obviously number one. And then once you do that, then you start looking at technologies. You don't look at technologies before that. I've seen I'm a consultant to a few organizations, and I work with a major healthcare provider also, and helping them streamline their cybersecurity posture. And when I work there also, we look at similar things, and we say, let's first look at what we need to protect. Then you dive into the technology. You just don't look at technology. You just don't shoot jargons. See, I come from a different background, like 8-10 years in security, not before that. So I don't like jargon so much. because people throw DLP and data leakage and all those kind of things. I think the key is to demystify all of it. And that's very important. And that's why. So the second part is protect. So you put in technologies to protect. So if you want to protect from viruses, you put your ransomware, anti-ransomware software, or you train people. So those are the things that you do. The third part is about the detection of anything that happens. Is obviously you need to be able to detect things when there's anomaly in the system, where there are vulnerabilities in the system. I understand a lot of you are from the IT domain. Last year in December, there was a big, not last year, the year before last, there was a big Log4j issue, which brought everyone burning the midnight oil, and we were up for like a month trying to fix that. So, so detection, anomalies, looking at clouds, and I'll talk more about cloud security in the subsequent slides. So that's very important. The fourth and the fifth are underrated, but very important. How do you respond? Okay, things happen, breaches happen, attack happen. How are you responding to that? Are you able to isolate the problem? Are you able to respond on multiple things? Are you responding into internal CEOs, board level members? When do you do that? I know companies that are working on making breach readiness for companies. So there's a breach readiness, including even the tweet. If we have a data breach, this is the tweet that will go out. Instead of when attack happens, there's a shouting match on the phone with 15, 20 people just shouting at each other. You don't want that situation. You want everything laid down. And recovery, how fast we can get the business to recover. And the key takeaway from this is a simple framework that actually puts everything together on security. And we have to believe that it can happen to us. We don't want it to happen, but it can happen. And that's why we should look at response and recovery methods very, very carefully. These are the least addressed area. And I was doing my course at MIT on cybersecurity. There's a huge section on how do you respond to events. And I think that's when I realized that we are very weak in that area. Okay, just switching gears. Why look at data security today? We've been talking about for ages. And if you look at the source business standard, recently it came out 2023. Last month something came out. This month something came out. A quick one that 2.3 billion records worldwide were breached, and 20% came from India, and 33% of the attacks are been ransomware, while 17% were unsecured databases in India. One of our partners had a breach a couple of years ago, and when I spoke to them, they said, yeah, we had a breach, and their data was on Amazon Web Services, and their bucket, the S3 storage, which is the S3 bucket, that was inadvertently left open, and somebody took the data out of that. So now these are the mistakes that actually lead a lot to that. So in terms of processes and people. And if you look at healthcare and retail, very targeted sector. Then I'm surprised that retail is more targeted than financial services, but education and public administration, websites, and all that. And somebody made a statement that threat actors continue to find success with known and proven exploitable vulnerabilities that organizations have failed to patch or remediate. This is one of a very big reason. If I were to list a reason for any attack, hack, this would definitely fall in the top 5, where there have been major, very famous attacks where 400, 5 million records were stolen. And it was mainly because people in the organization failed to do a patch. The doors were open, vulnerability was there in the system. People were able to get in. It was simple. Most of these hacks or attacks or whatever you call them are not happening because of high-tech stuff. You don't have movie-like scenes where somebody's sitting there and hackers from all over the world hacking into it. There's simple things. The doors are open. They just scan and find an open door and get into there. So if you're leaving your door open, then it's something that we need to fix. The quick one: why do we need to invest in data security today? More data than ever before. Organization, a lot of things are outdated. Landscape is growing, and the impact of data leakage, reputation, and financial loss, and other things. So I won't spend much time on this slide. Some of the common things I want to talk about, just a flavor. And what's happening is, if you see the first part, you see, ransomware, virus, Trojan. These, we've been seeing them since, late 90s, and they're still around. And a lot of things come through that. If I was reading a report where one of the top 5 worries for all the security heads in any organization, one of the top one is ransomware. Ransomware is real. It's happening to a lot of us. Recently, we have seen India, one of the largest health institution, had a breach, and they were down for like 2 to 3 weeks. The whole everything had to be done manually. And it's not only to big companies; it can happen to any company. And if you look at from the SMB angle, a lot of us will say that I'm not customer facing. I don't have personal data of people. Why do I really care? But you care about data which may go to competitor. You may care about going offline. There are attacks happening, which I talk about the second part, the denial of service. Sorry, there's a typo. Then it's a denial of service, and and that you get flooded. It's like one bank, and then thousands of people stand in line for the bank, and the bank can't service those people anymore. It's similar. So your systems cannot service, and it goes down. Man in the middle, this is again a very real thing where I talked about data in transit. Data has been transmitted, it does get modified in the middle. And SQL injection is a very old thing, which we've been seeing for the last 20, 25 years, but it's still happening. Application security is, we see a lot of problems there, and many things. It's just a very, very basic thing. And phishing. Now, I'll spend a couple of minutes on phishing. Is a lot of lot of attacks or a lot of breaches are happening not only because of people from outside in, but inside out, and not knowingly. We have trustworthy employees. That's not the point. Inadvertently. So people are getting phishing emails. And there have been a case study which I studied in one of my courses was about this was, in fact, last year, when through LinkedIn, they got hacked they targeted a DevOps person, an engineer who will have the key to the crypto, and they targeted the person through LinkedIn, gave him a job offer too good to refuse, and sent a letter. And in the letter, when they opened, they said, just say accept, and your settings will be set or something like that. And ransomware got on the machine. They got the keys. They wiped out the company of, $500 million worth of crypto or something like that. So this is real. So phishing, again, not enough emphasis of awareness of counter phishing in the companies. And this doesn't take money. This just takes mindset. And that's what I'm want to emphasize in this session is we'll look at SMBs. We may not be large, extremely large, not have tons of money to throw at technology, but if seen logically and very, very systematically, a lot of things can be accomplished. So it has to be done in the spirit. So that's why I started with why you need security, what is the framework we're doing, what are problems we can have. Now, very quickly, I'll just go over. These are some of the aspects. When you look at entire security, you look at how application is secure. Can I do an account takeover? Is my network secure? End user education, which I talked about phishing, is extremely important. All your users should know, don't click on an email. The old saying that if it's too good to be true, it is then too good to be true. And that's why we're telling user not to click on unknown emails, emails from people that you don't know. And that's where a lot of ransomware comes in. Cloud is another aspect we just touch a few minutes upon. Operational security, disaster recovery planning I talked about, and how do you respond to incident. Very quick, what a user education means. This is just a sample, just to let you know that an effective program, you look at the, you tell your employees, do the assessment, you do a constant learning, you do look at the password protocols, you train, and it's a ongoing effort all the time. So this is an effective training program that happens all the time for the employee. And again, let me emphasize, a lot of breaches inadvertently, unknowingly happens from the inside. A quick one on cloud security. A lot of people are on cloud. I spent a lot of time on cloud security, and it was also a new area for me. And there's a misconception with many people that they say if the data is on the cloud, then it must be secure because the cloud provider's responsibility. No, that's not the case. Cloud provider provides an infrastructure to us, but managing the data, managing that security is our baby. We need to make sure that it is secure. We need to set up processes. People have controls to AWS. It's very easy to start an instance, very easy to give access to anybody. How do you control all that? And we did a lot of automation to control that. Whenever somebody opened an S3 bucket, because you have to look at agility. You need to give control to your developers and DevOps to be able to do things, right? But on the other hand, you need to be able to know what's going on. So whenever somebody opened an S3 bucket, we would get an alert. We would immediately inform the person. If there was no answer within X minutes or something, we would just close the access. So those kind of things. So cloud adoption is important. It's very interesting the way one has to deal with this security on the cloud. And going from on-prem, many of you may be in transition or migration from the on-premises to cloud. It's very important to keep note that the cloud security needs a different mindset. And no rocket science, but yes, it needs different mindset. Now I come back to, a quick, I'm very conscious of the time that I have to maintain. So I'll make sure I, manage in the time. So three aspects, people, process, and technology. It's been talked about, everybody talks about it. So it's surprising that I put it on this, but I put it on this because from our point of view, from an SMB point of view, it's not only technology. First, you have to look at what process is there. What do you need to achieve? And then you have to train the people in terms of awareness. You have to write people there. And then you start looking at technology. I've seen enough examples where enough money has been thrown at technology and not much has been achieved. So you have to look at all three aspects. I know this is a technology session and we need to make sure that technology is the paramount. But in this case, people and process play a very, very important and critical role. But yes, technology, of course, plays a role there. I just a quick thing. If you're looking at a 30-day plan, you look at phishing awareness, phishing reporting. This is how we do things. So there's a lot of documentation, a lot of planning, very logical, and that's why I love it. If you're looking at implementation of cyber information security in a company, in 1 month you do a network password, you'll do vulnerability assessment in month 5 and 6, you'll do auditing of controls, you do this. So you have a full checklist of things. So that's what we keep doing, and you have to keep doing that. And these are some of the dashboards that we create. What are the threats, threat reports, ransomware? There's a problem there. I'm getting some malwares. What are the threats month by month? And these are detections that we do, and some sample dashboards that I just put together for you to see that these are the things that we actually look at it. Okay, so to end my presentation, road ahead, key takeaways. So I want you to take away something. Okay, I'm on time. I have 1 or 2 minutes left. So the key takeaway from this is that since you've given 25-30 minutes of your time to me, I'm thankful for that. We must accept that data breach attack can happen to us. We must accept it. It can happen. Should not happen, but can happen. Information, very logical, layered approach. And in security, we call a approach called defense in depth, like a fort. Like any fort, you have a moat, and then you have 3 or 4 walls, and after that you get into the fort. So there's a layered approach in security. One solution cannot protect you, and if somebody bypasses one layer, then you go to another layer that has. So you look at different layers, and by the time somebody get down to the bottommost layer, you already get alerts, alarms, and you're able to take care of these things. Having tools, technologies, I talked about, not enough. People, processes, everything, very, very critical. And very important to get a roadmap ready. So if one key takeaway is get a roadmap ready and execute. A roadmap can be through an internal resource, external consultant, or a virtual CISO. You can get a virtual CISO who spends maybe 1 day a week with you, half a day a week, just planning and seeing how logical things are, and you execute. And so a lot of companies don't want to spend resources on a full-time CISO because there may not be enough work for the person to do, or because of other reasons. You can have somebody come in half a day, one day a week. So planning is the key here, and the time to start is now. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Parikh. That indeed was very exhaustive. The time to start is indeed now. And the key takeaway that you said, the first thing is probably the most important, which is it can happen to anyone. Any company, any entrepreneur should be prepared for an eventuality of the kind of risks that cyber raises and presents. Some of the questions have already come up for you, and I'm going to ask you some of those, which is, I think, a very important question around AI chatbots. How much of AI chatbots are a risk when it comes to cybersecurity, and how prepared are small entrepreneurs for the same?
Okay, thanks. That's a good question, and that's something we were dealing with earlier on AI chatbots, and we were actually working with one of our WAF providers that time. We were working with Akamai on seeing how AI, those chatbots were able to kind of act like a real user and create accounts within our system. And there are solutions around it, and which we, to some degree, we were able to do it properly. But this is one area that needs more addressing on how to look at differentiate between these chatbots, between this and the real user. And we were able to detect where people were making chatbots were making accounts, multiple accounts, hundreds and thousands of accounts on our system. And we were able to detect that. But because there was a focus on that, there was fraud happening. But the question is absolutely correct. Not enough focus is on that area.
What are the sectors which need to probably be primed more for having more safeguards around cybersecurity? Though, of course, it can happen in any sector. It is sector agnostic. But in your assessment, where are the threats more pronounced? In which sectors?
Okay. I think that things that come to mind: finance sector, fintech, obviously number very high. Healthcare, more and more we are seeing a lot of focus. And recent breach that happened 3-4 months ago, the health data is becoming more and more prominent, maybe because of different reasons, by maybe countries, or they want information about patients. So healthcare definitely is one area. A lot of that is happening, I think, uh, including even I see a lot of things in e-commerce happening, and uh, these are the pronounced ones. But still, I want to emphasize there are lot many non-pronounced, which you may not, because a lot of these have a digital footprint. You are like almost direct to consumer. There are a lot of businesses who are not direct to consumer, and they still are very, very vulnerable to this. They don't realize it, and they are very, very vulnerable to such things of data going to competitors. Obviously, of the stats, finance, retail, and health, and all these things are very high. Government agencies are very high, but as a percentage, they are very high. But even 1 or 2% which are not even talked about everywhere, I feel need to be addressed.
Final question that I want to ask you is, which is around, you mentioned the risks associated with cloud and how cloud providers don't have responsibilities, which normally is assumed with regard to cybersecurity. But this comes even as there is a significant uptake as far as cloud adoption is concerned among small entrepreneurs. Cloud adoption has really picked up in the last couple of years. How do you see that as a possible area of increased and pronounced threats going forward?
Okay, thanks. Thanks for bringing that up again. I didn't have enough time that time to talk about cloud security because I had to manage my time, but now I can talk about it since you asked the question. If you look at any breaches of cloud, and if you pick up any study, any report, most of the breaches from cloud happen due to misconfiguration by the person managing the cloud, and the person managing the cloud is always the organization. If I take up a space on AWS, Azure, Google, or Amazon, then managing that is my baby. I have to make sure I have authentication, I have multi-factor authentication, I have right people accessing it, my data is stored properly. Nobody has access, nobody has ways to give access to give data to other people. My network is not open. I can, by a single click, I can open my network to outside people. So those are the things one needs to be aware about. So when you move to cloud, you have to be sure, and you have to know the fact that most of breaches, problems happen because of misconfigurations. And if you have misconfiguration, easy for somebody to get in. So for that, one is to, obviously there are a lot of vendors out there, technologies out there. They look at what they call cloud secure posture management. They call it CSPM. And so a lot of CSPM vendors are there. But even before going to them, one needs to look and talk to your own technology people, that cloud, make sure the management is there, the misconfigurations do not happen. And that's, I think, the controls. What we talk about, really controls should be there on the cloud, which we're not used to doing on like a data center or something.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, Mr. Parikh, for taking out the time and addressing this masterclass. Some very important and pertinent points have been raised, and I'm sure it will be greatly beneficial for all SMBs who've logged in today.
Thank you, Gauri. Thank you.
With that, we reach the final leg of this masterclass, which is going to be an address by Mr. Sanjay Sharma, who's a senior solution architect in Lenovo, taking care of the northern and eastern parts of India. He designs data center solutions in Lenovo and has 25 years of experience in data storage, data protection, enterprise system design, for tech companies like Sun Microsystems, Hitachi, and others. Over to you, Mr. Sharma.
Thank you so much, Gauri. And I have a presentation to show. So I'm just going to present, and please acknowledge if you are able to see that.
Yes.
Okay, great. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here. I'm going to run you through the Lenovo portfolio, what all we have, addressing your business environment, what are the business challenges we are facing, solving with our wide portfolio. So this is the agenda, what I'm going through here, Lenovo overview, then the future of data economy and how we are addressing in Lenovo uh, around these economics, what I'm going to talk about, and what is true scale and how it is going to be really beneficial for you. And finally, we're going to take the Q&A. So as you know that every tech company is doing the innovation, and we are also not spared. We are also doing the innovation, but we are specifically doing the innovation towards something which, in one shape or the form, touches the human life, and that's how we are bringing more, more what you can say, more innovation towards human-centric, easeability, which technologically it improves the human life. Lenovo, it's known in the industry for some time. Everybody knows that Lenovo has come with a robust infrastructure in place. We are ranked 171 in Fortune 500 companies. We have global presence. We have 180 countries presence across. We have 85,000 employees, out of which 15,000 is really focused on renovation, innovation, R&D, and R&D locations we have worldwide. That has granted us 33,000 plus portfolio patent as of now, and which is growing exponentially. We are working in different directions, which is making life easier for other innovations as well. We have a global presence, I mentioned. So this is the global footprint which we are showing. We have a research center across the globe. We have manufacturing unit. We have company locations across the globe. Data economics, I mean, as Deepak also mentioned, and Mr. Nagat also mentioned, there are data which is generated, and we are reaching out to the end users from a business expansion standpoint. So the amount of data which is getting generated on a smart IoT devices, which is your smartphone or a laptop, or your smart tabs, these are actually generating a lot of data, and data is expected to grow 10 times by 2025. So those are the areas where the data is generated, which needs to be addressed. And then we have the other part, which is edge IT. Edge IT is you can think of like a smart manufacturing unit, where we have edge devices installed, and they are collecting data from manufacturing machines. So doing the automation around the machines, which actually generates the data and give you for better insight, for better uh, flexibility. So that is the another area where the data is generated, and obviously that has to be all these data is processed at the core. So core is also again going to get generate data, and all these areas need some manageability, and that's how Lenovo is divided into different sections to address all these important areas. So first one, from a smart IoT standpoint, we have IDG, which is intelligent device group. uh, and also we have mobility group. So you are aware about Motorola, which is again part of the Lenovo. So we have a mobility the business group that manages that part of the business. And then from edge IT and server or the core IT, we have called a group called ISG, which is infrastructure services group. And obviously all these are the business unit, but then it has to be wrapped around services for making the availability smooth and seamless for the customer. So that's how we have solution and services group in place, which makes the life easier for customer. Let's talk about intelligent data device group. So as I mentioned, that it has covered the smart devices like PCs, tablets, smartphones, and more. IoT, in healthcare industry, I'm just taking one example. Healthcare industry, there are different devices which is actually used for diagnostic, which requires a compute. So and sensors also. So all those sensors and uh, compute is integrated in those areas, helping for dedicated vertical. So likewise, in a retail group, there are different workstations, you can say. Those also needs a compute, and likewise in a CT scan machines or MRI machines, those also need a computing section. So IoT from a Lenovo is integrated in some shape and form in those verticals, and making them making the compute easy for them. Then we have scenario based, like you have a smart speakers or a Bluetooth speakers nowadays, which is connected with Google and does a job for you, turning off lights and all. So all those areas are there, and then Lenovo is also contributing in those parts, making the virtual reality devices available for you. And it's all as Mr. Anagat spoke about security. So those are the areas where we also have components integrated and make the end-to-end portfolio secure for you and for your business. Needless to say, I mean, we are number one in the PC market. We've got the largest laptop or desktop available today in the industry, and we have got all the number one ranking from all different uh, you know ranking providers, and we are number one. From ISD standpoint, yes, we have wide portfolio which covers all kind of requirement, right from the standard tower servers uh, to standard rack servers, and we have wide portfolio to cover all those areas. Then we have a modular platform. So these are the platform which we have available for addressing a specific requirement. But then we have standardized offering as well, like mission critical. If you have environment wherein you need more secure environment, or the SAP HANA kind of environment where it's a mission critical workload which are running in your environment. So combination of server rack series, we have made more dense server, providing you large storage space within the server itself, or a huge amount of compute if you need, like 8 CPU server you need to address a particular business requirement. So those are the portfolio which is available. We are number one from high performance computing standpoint. We have portfolio around that as well, which is addressing your high performance requirement. And then we have edge servers, which is actually you know designed to run in a non-data center environment, like it runs in -5 to 45 degree temperature in a not so really healthy environment. I mean, you can say dusty environment or high humid environment. All those environment does not really require a rack to be fit in. I mean, it can be a wall mounted. So think about a manufacturing industry where shop floor has a multiple machines running, and it needs to fetch data from these machines. So you can mount these servers on the wall itself, and it runs absolutely fine, which processes the information at the factory level itself. Then we have cloud data management portfolio. So we have unified storage, which is called DM series. It provides you capability of block as well as filer and archive related workload. And then if you need only a block storage, then we have DE series, which addresses the block requirement. Then we have hyperconverged infrastructure. Uh, we are partnered with all the industry leading hypervisors, and we have joint engineered created solutions. I'll talk about that in the next slide. Then we have specifically designed, specifically uh, joint solutions, you can say, like addressing the archiving requirement or backup requirement. Also, all those things are also under the software defined storage portfolio. Some of the customers are not really, specifically in the SMB space, they are not really ready to immediately go to the storage space, enterprise storage. So we have direct attached storage also in some of the specific requirement also, which we need to address using DAS. So that is also something which is available for us, with us. And TrueScale, TrueScale is the as a service offering from our side, which has got everything available for you. We have, why I mentioned specifically here is because we have something called as infinite storage under the TrueScale portfolio. A customer can adopt today, and then it will be infinite for them for forever, however they want to grow in that particular portfolio. Like I mentioned, it's a joint engineered solution for backup and take archives as well. So software-defined infrastructure, like I mentioned, the prominent ones are Microsoft, VMware, and Nutanix. So we have created joint engineered, which is absolutely tested every single component to run smoothly on those hypervisors. Customer has a choice. We need to provide choice to the customer. So we have a choice. If customer wish to buy hypervisor on their own and they want a server from us, which is certified, which is ready to run on those hypervisors. So we have offering called as certified nodes in HCI portfolio. And if customer says no, I just need the integrated solution, so we have appliance offering available for them. If we talk about the backup appliance has got two components. One is compute, and the other one is storage. Nowadays everybody wants to have the backup comes with the recoverability or recovery associated with it. So we are taking backup because whenever it is required, we need to restore back immediately. So now the newer workload and the newer enterprise backup softwares are designed to host the backup on the disk itself, and that's how it has got two components. One is compute and the other one is storage. So since we have entire portfolio with us, we can create joint solutions together, and we have already done that with Veeam, Cohesity, and Commvault. But that does not stop us here. We can integrate with any other software as well. It's just the testing which we need to do. But currently, off the shelf, which is available, is Veeam, Cohesity, and Commvault, which actually protects your data not only from the application standpoint, but also from unstructured data also. Now, since I spoke about everything like the end computing, the IoT devices, and the core devices, but what about the manageability? So we have something called as Lenovo X Clarity, a small chip which sits on the server side, which provides visibility across the portfolio what customer has. Let's say if customer has got the edge devices from us and a server and storage, everything. So it's one single console which manages the entire infrastructure of a database data center, and they get the clarity, they get the visibility, like how the a particular server or drive or a computer or a RAM is behaving and how it can be optimized further. Lenovo Open Cloud Automation, if any customer is planning to move to cloud, we can help them, do the automation for them, providing the hybrid cloud environment. And also we have LICO, which is LICO, Lenovo Intelligent Computing Orchestration. Let's say if you have analytics workload running in your environment, so generally AI requires a huge amount of investment because that has got a lot of compute involved in it. If customer wish to isolate the environment and want to leverage the platform for other things, that is something which LICO can help, can step in and help your customer running different workload in the same environment. Or also LICO can also help you utilize LICO environment more effectively, train the model, generally does not require users to be interfering, involving into all those trading modules. Liku can help you, ease your life and uh, fully utilize your hardware. Um, as I already said, Lenovo is number one, and this is not something which I'm saying. This is something which I see already surveyed with 1,000+ customers across 28 vertical market, and we've been number one since last 8 years. So I don't want to emphasize more on that. Since I mentioned that we have got solution and services group, so we step in not only the warranty piece of it, but then we have a specialized support services and team in place, which will help you not only consistently provide services and proactively informing you about your current infrastructure and upcoming workload planning, but they also gives you professional services for a particular workload or a bunch of workload. Specifically managed services, Lenovo TrueScale gives every single component which Lenovo has to offer today under one umbrella, which I'm going to talk about in a slightly next slide. But then, whether it's a hybrid cloud environment, customer wants to have a services from Lenovo, we do have a gamut of services offering for the customer to offer. TrueScale, as I mentioned, that it offers you infrastructure as a service, IoT as a service, device as a service, or software as a service under one umbrella. That is so powerful that customer can start leveraging it right from the day they decide that this is the workload we are going to uh, host on our environment or any place which they want to, and it gives you as a service economical version available for the customer. Success. I mean, this is the customer logos which we have acquired over a year of time, and we wish to have continue this journey. And I want to see all those logos to be shrinking so that we can have some more logos here. Um, the power of Lenovo portfolio and services is something which earn respect from the customer side. We do sit with the customer, understand their environment. It is not something which customer is fascinating for having a one particular workload or one particular platform, but we do really go sit with them, understand what is best fit for them, and that's how we are earning you know trust from the customer, and that's how we've been awarded CIO Choice Award for HCI and for the edge computing as well. And with that, I think I have no more slide to go for, but we want to address every single market, right from the client to edge to cloud and network. And we are moving towards bringing more intelligence around all this, and that's where we are striving towards. Uh, with that, I would take a pause here if we have any more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. You may stop presenting now. Thank you so much for that overview of Lenovo that you have presented. And I want to thank both our speakers, Mr. Deepak Jain and Mr. Anagat Parikh, for sharing their views and insights on what is the role that technology plays in transforming businesses, and at the same time, how businesses need to prepare themselves for the future risks that technology also raises, and what are the safeguards that they need to put in place. I want to thank all those who have tuned in to this masterclass session. We've had very encouraging amount of registrations for this event simply because of the topic and the nature of discussion, which impacts so many businesses across so many sectors. And with that, thank you so much from the Economic Times and from my side, Gauri Dwivedi. Thank you so much for tuning in for this